agricultural value chain as actors and beneficiaries, specifically focusing on the challenges. The first challenge is limited access to land. We all know that the youth and the women have got subsidiary rights on our land. In fact, most of them don't have inherited rights on the issue of land. So once the youth goes for the purposes of farming, most of them do it on the family land. They even don't have resources to hire, and for the case of women, it's even worse. And yet women are supposed to be the majority of the people who are supposed to be benefiting from the family land. First of all, from their own families, and then where she's going to be married, and also from the land that she may buy. But all those, it's a very big challenge which limits their abilities. The second issue is inability to access financial services. You know, the majority of the young people don't have cash flows. They don't have cash flows. Even the majority of the women don't have cash flows in order for them to really generate enough resources whereby they can maybe open a bank account. How many youth in Uganda do have bank accounts in terms of percentage? And then there are so many other limiting factors that brings these problems of limited access to financial services. The third one, we look at the skills gap. They lack a lot of knowledge in order for them to really engage in agriculture. Most young people are not reached by extension services. So if you want to engage in poultry, you may not have knowledge in poultry farming. And then also you may not have resources to pay for that particular knowledge. The third one is we have got the negative mindset and attitude towards agriculture, which really limits. Up to now, the majority of young people have not come to appreciate agriculture. Even me who has been in the industry, I used to just go and give projects. But now that I'm involved in my own personal project for agriculture, I've discovered that this is very lucrative. Because if I can rear 500 chicken and sell them after every 3 months, quarterly, I get them when it's 1 month old, then quarterly you are selling your chicken. You can't go wrong with that. So I've discovered that poultry and other related agricultural businesses are very lucrative. But the majority of the young people still don't appreciate that. They have a negative attitude. Then the other one is limited access, of course, to agricultural advisory services. Very few. The majority of the youth don't access, because even individually, in terms of organization, we have very few organized youth groups whereby they can reach extension as a group or even individually. So that is also another challenge. And the third challenge is gender bias. Of course, you know, our society, they have not yet come to appreciate. But I think in Lango now, these days, people have come to appreciate that women can contribute a lot. They can do, actually, it is the majority of women who are doing a lot of work in the gardens as opposed to men in Lango here and generally northern Uganda. So that gender bias needs to be worked on. Then, of course, we have those vulnerabilities. When a woman is pregnant, giving birth, and then all that, sometimes it also limits their performance in the field. Number 8, limited access to information, particularly market information. And you see, women and youth produce on a very small scale. And most of them don't access timely market information, which limits their access or their capacity to really produce much for the market. So what are the solutions? The solutions to access to land, of course, Number one, we should look at the government, which has already anyway put in place policies. Those policies we need to advocate for them, so that the people understand that women have got inherited rights over land, that a woman can buy land and put it in her names even if she's married, that she's entitled to inherit even customary land from home. So I think we need to do a lot of advocacy on that. Even the young people. For the young people, I think government should put in place some scheme which allows the youth. In other countries it is happening, like in Morocco, Senegal and others, where the government gives you a startup where you can buy land and then pay it later. If it can be adopted here, that would also work. Inability to access financial services, of course. There should be tailor-made government scheme loans to target these groups. For example, we had the Youth Livelihood Fund, where the money was given to the youth groups. Some are still struggling to pay them up to today. They have not been paid. Then you have Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Association. Then also the government should put some laws and regulations with a proper interest rates, because the banks are overcharging the interest rates. So that loans which are given to youth and women, the interest rates should really be favorable. The government should regulate the financial institutions, plus many other interventions, so that they can increase access to financial services. And on the issue of the skill gap, of course, so skill gap needs right from primary up to the universities. I think agriculture should be integrated into the education curriculum, so that the youth access it as right from primary, and they appreciate, in order to bridge those skills. And there may be even more recruitment of extension staff. That is another one. Next, negative mindset transformation and attitude change. Youth should be made to appreciate agriculture, as I put it, that agriculture is very lucrative. There are lots of opportunities in agriculture. And if you invest in agriculture, you can't go wrong, except it demands a lot of capital. Of course, if you don't have capital, it becomes a problem. You need to be lucky. If you have a network, you can get some capital to do a few things. Limited access to agricultural advisory services, of course, more recruitment. People have said here that the majority of the farmers don't even know they are extension workers at the sub-county. And recently in the city here, we were complaining when they had just set up the city. I think they have just now improved on it, because there was only one extension worker for the entire city division. But I think they have now increased. They have recruited more. So even farmers, we are not accessing extension staff, but I think currently, at least there is some access. But for the youth, I don't think those youth are targeting. I don't think those extension workers are reaching the youth groups. It's just a few organized farmer groups who are reaching. Then gender bias, of course, that calls for mass sensitization, and also to help the youth, there's need to create revolving funds. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the presentation from Group 3. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I don't know the other name.
Patrick.
For elaborate presentation.